Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's PowerBrew, From Living Well to Working Well. With us today is Martine Foreman, who we're going to hear from in just a little bit. I'm Libby Trossel with Business Training and Services at Carroll Community College, and usually Sonia Hand, who is also with Business Training and Services, joins us for the webinars as co-moderator with me. However, she is at a Leadership Carroll retreat today, so I'll be flying this solo, so to speak. Before we get started, I want to just take a moment to familiarize you with Business Training and Services. I know some of you may be familiar, some of you may not. So since this is a service of Business Training and Services, I'd like to take a moment just to familiarize you with some of the things that we provide to businesses in the community. So on your screen, there's examples of things that that we provide to local businesses to help build employee skills, help employers improve their processes, increase productivity, and foster a effective organizational culture. And as you'll see from the screen, there's a variety of things offered, and so if you want to learn more about the services that we provide, I invite you to visit our website at Carroll, www.carrolltraining.com. And I just want to make a mention of a statistic that I heard one time, and it really drives home the importance of having your employees help you as a business be prepared to meet your strategic goals, and that is that business success is about 15% planning and a full 85% execution. And who's going to execute your business plan? Well, that's your employees. So just want to put kind of a word out there that you want to make sure your employees are skilled and on board with helping you meet your strategic goals. So today's PowerBrew, I just want to take a minute to familiarize you with the workplace screen. And so you'll see on the right-hand side of your screen that you have a control panel, and that control panel you can pop in and out by clicking on the red arrow, and you do have an opportunity to submit questions during the webinar. In fact, we would love for you to submit questions during the webinar, and as time permits during the webinar, we will ask those questions of our presenter, Martine, and we will also allow time at the end of the webinar to dedicate to questions and answers. And what's important to note is whenever we get more questions than we're able to answer in the time allotted, we do follow up with an email getting you, everybody that's on the webinar, we email you with the questions that were asked that we were not able to get to, as well as the answers. So that way you feel like your questions will get answered today one way or another. Okay, so without further ado, I am going to introduce today's speaker. So Martine Foreman, she's an adjunct faculty member here at Carroll Community College. She's a speaker, writer, and ACE certified health coach, and she is co-founder of Candid Bell, which is a lifestyle blog that helps moms build better relationships and live happier, healthier lives. She does speaking engagements through workshops, digital products. She provides insightful content online. She provides coaching services. She's providing this webinar for us today, getting you all familiar with her ideas for wellness. And so her mission is to help clients build confidence, shift their mindsets, focus on wellness, making better choices, and living healthier lives. She's a graduate of Syracuse University, where she graduated cum laude, and majored in speech communication and family and child services. And she is also a graduate of the University of Maryland, where she holds a Master's of Science degree in Family Studies. And so without further ado, I am going to go ahead and welcome Martine.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited to be here. I'm glad that you're able to join us this morning, so I hope you have your coffee or tea or whatever makes you happy on a Tuesday morning so that we can get started. Um, as Libby mentioned, I'm a certified health coach. So today I want to talk to you about the importance of living well and working well, and I want to offer you some simple strategies to help you modify your lifestyle and enhance your work performance. Simple is key here because I don't like to give my clients or anyone that I work with complicated strategies. I don't want to overwhelm people, and I don't want people to think that living well should be some huge task that you can't accomplish, because that's not true. So we're going to keep it simple throughout the presentation, and hopefully I'll have an opportunity to answer lots of your questions at the end. So first, I want to share a few quotes with you. I'm a little quote crazy, so bear with me. The first one is, take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. This quote is really important to me because it makes me think about how we take care of so many things in our lives, the people we love, our homes, our cars, our clothes, our nice shoes, all of these things, but oftentimes we fail to take care of our own bodies. And the truth is, this is it. We don't get to purchase another body. We don't get to rent another one. This is the only one we've got. So our job is to live well in it, take care of it, learn to love it, and make sure that it serves us well throughout the course of our lives. So I love this quote. The next quote is, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. This one is important because lots of us like to eat, and that's great because food does taste good, but I think we also have to remember that food is designed to not just bring us pleasure, but to nourish our bodies, and sometimes we fail to recognize that there's a reason food has all of the macronutrients and micronutrients that it has, and that's because it's supposed to nourish us and keep us healthy and keep us strong. So if we think about food in that way, then food can actually help us avoid a lot of illnesses and help us live healthier lifestyles. This one I love. Relationships with anyone are at their best when you are at your best. And this holds true for relationships that you have with your colleagues at work, relationships with your family members, relationships with friends. The reality is, when you're not at your best, it's really hard to function really successfully in a relationship. So if you're feeling sick, if you're tired all the time, if you're moody, if you're cranky, if you just don't quite feel yourself, it's going to show in how you interact with others, how you communicate with other people, whether you intend for it to or not. So we have to think about our health when it comes to managing our relationships as well. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So later in the presentation, I'll talk about forming healthier habits, but I think we have to remember that our lives really is a collection of habits that we formed over the years, and thankfully you can change habits. So some of the habits we have are great for us, they're great for our health, for our lifestyles, and some habits not so much. So if we want to achieve better health and we want to achieve greater levels of happiness, we have to be willing to change some of our habits and make sure that we're consistent with practicing those new habits. And then this one, finally, the preservation of health is easier than the cure for disease. And this quote actually makes me think about one of the reasons why I decided to become a health coach. I have a mom who's in her early 70s, and she has a lot of health issues. Some of them are common issues that lots of people have, like arthritis and acid reflux, but she's also a stroke survivor, she's a cancer survivor, she has epilepsy, and the list kind of goes on and on. I just found out yesterday that she needs to have surgery in a few weeks for cataracts and for glaucoma. So she takes a lot of medication, and through a lot of intimate conversations that I've had with my mom, I've realized that if she would have had the tools and the resources and just the knowledge to make a few different decisions when it comes to her physical health and her mental health when she was a lot younger, then she would have been able to preserve many aspects of her health. Now, that doesn't mean that she wouldn't have any of the health issues that she has today, because unfortunately, sometimes even when you take good care of yourself, there are some health issues that pop up. But I do think the quality of her life would be a lot better today if she had that back then. So that's why I decided that I wanted to try to help people preserve their health, because I think doing that is a lot easier and for employers a lot less expensive, helping employees preserve their health than it is to eventually find a cure for any type of disease or illness that you might develop over time. So what does it mean to live well? So these are just 6 simple points that I think of when I think about living well. So I think about adequate sleep. So I know you guys took a poll where we talked about how many of you sleep 7 to 9 hours every night, and it seems like 60% of you said yes. So that's pretty awesome, but that also means that 40% of you are not getting enough sleep. So adequate sleep is really important. We need to be well rested. It helps us focus. It helps us have a positive attitude. It gives us the ability to make better choices. And unfortunately, I think we live in a culture where sleep is probably not appreciated as much as it should be, especially as we become older. I think we always focus on little kids getting enough sleep, but oftentimes as adults, the amount of sleep we get starts to dwindle, but we still need that sleep to function. So that's a really important part of living well, and I'll touch on it a little bit more later. Healthy food choices is an obvious part, and that doesn't mean that you can't indulge from time to time, but it does mean that for the most part, you should try your best to make healthy food choices. Regular physical activity, and this just means get moving. It doesn't mean that you're trying to be an Olympian or that you're doing like mountain climbing or anything like overwhelming or intense or even anything that you hate, but it means discovering activities that get your body moving, get your heart pumping and your blood flowing that you can engage in regularly. Mental health management is a really big one, and one that I think too many of us neglect. So that's an important part of living well. And the final 2 are getting regular medical attention, because I'm sure some of you probably have been stalling on making doctor's appointments. I know I've done that in the past. Or you're making appointments for your kids and your spouse and you keep forgetting about making your own appointment. But the truth is we do have to seek regular medical attention so that we're never caught off guard with what's going on with our health. We kind of know our numbers. We know the stats. We know what areas we need to kind of focus on and work on. We know if there's a need for medication, what that medication will do to us, how it can help, what the side effects are. And if you don't get medical attention, sometimes by the time you finally do, you have a much bigger problem on your hands than if you would have went to the doctor a year ago. So, and finally, practicing consistent self-care. So self-care means different things for different people. For you, it could mean going to church regularly. It could mean getting manicures and pedicures regularly. It can mean going fishing. It can mean spending quiet time doing an activity that you love, like reading books. But whatever it is, we should all consistently practice self-care in our lives. So obviously, I think there's a big connection between living well and working well. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what it means to work well. So I think when you live well, you're able to perform better in the workplace. So that means you have the stamina to manage your workload. You have higher levels of productivity. You're able to focus, and that's because of the foods you're putting in your body, the exercise you're getting, the amount of sleep you're getting. Your creative juices are flowing, and you're able to meet deadlines, and you're also able to form and sustain healthy professional relationships. And that doesn't mean that you're best friends with everyone you work with, because I don't think that that's a realistic expectation, but it does mean that you can work collaboratively with other people. It means that you being tired or you being stressed out or you being moody is not interfering with your ability to respectfully communicate with someone else. It's not interfering with your ability to be alert during a staff meeting or team meeting or something like that. So that's what it means to work well. So how does poor health hurt you? So when you're not living well, when you're neglecting your health, what are the consequences that come with that? So the first is high levels of stress. So let's see. So on our poll, I asked, did you feel stressed out? And 67% of you said yes. That's actually a little bit lower than I expected, so that's good. That means 33% of you guys are doing pretty well. So, but it also does mean that, you know, a large portion of you, almost 2/3 of you, do feel stressed out, and that's not uncommon. Stress is an issue that we all deal with from time to time. And just because maybe you feel stressed out today, that doesn't mean that you're consistently in a state of being stressed, although it might be. But when you're not taking care of yourself, when you're not practicing those healthier habits, it makes it a lot easier for you to manage the stress in your life. So that stress just starts to impact your work, it impacts your relationships, it impacts your mood. Mental health issues is another big one. So things like anxiety and depression are very common mental health issues. And because there's a stigma around mental health, there are mental health issues that a lot of people don't want to talk about. They have a really hard time asking help for. My mom suffers from some anxiety and pretty severe depression. So I see firsthand what it does to the quality of her life. And I've seen firsthand how incredibly difficult it is for her to ask for help. And with mental health issues, they kind of snowball into something much bigger if you're not able to kind of get help and address those issues early on. So not managing your stress, not practicing self-care, not taking time to address your emotional needs, your physical needs, all of those things can kind of lead to increased likelihood of anxiety and depression. Chronic disease, so that would be things like diabetes. Those are things that can develop as a result of poor health. Hypertension is really common. I'm sure either you or someone you know is taking medication for hypertension. I think it's that common. So I think that's a pretty big one, and lots of things can affect our blood pressure, right? So stress is one of them. What we eat, how much we move, how much sleep we get. So pretty much all the healthy habits that we have, if those habits are not in place, it could result in an increase in blood pressure. And blood pressure, high blood pressure can have an impact in a lot of areas of our health, the condition of our heart, your likelihood to have a stroke. So hypertension is a really big one for me. And then obesity and a lack of physical activity obviously hurts you in a number of ways. And finally, fatigue, which is connected to the lack of sleep that I talked about. So now if you're not living well and your health is kind of hurting a little bit and you're experiencing some of the stress and lack of physical activity and the fatigue and some of the things that I just mentioned, how is that going to hurt your work? So lack of focus. I don't know about you, but if I'm sleeping 4 hours a night and I'm dealing with some stomach issues and I have a lot of things going on with my health, my ability to focus on a project is not where it should be. Yeah, I can probably push through and get the job done, but is it my best work? Not by any means. And I think that's true for most people. So even if you're the type of person that pushes through and you want to do the work and you're a team player, and that's great because those are great qualities to have, but the truth is, like, you're human. So if your body is suffering, if you're struggling, if you're not resting, if you have other things going on, you won't be able to focus the way that you should be, which means you'll have a decreased performance at work. Your ability to be creative will be impacted. And we all have different levels of creativity, so don't think this doesn't apply to you if you don't naturally think of yourself as a really creative person. I think we're all creative in some respect. So that could just mean your ability to come up with new ideas at work, or your ability to think outside of the box, or come up with a new way to solve a problem that your company might be facing. So your ability to do all of those things is impacted. And then your relationships with your colleagues will suffer. Absenteeism becomes a huge problem. So if you don't take care of your health, and you're missing these doctor's appointments, instead of maybe missing one day of work to manage all of your appointments and health issues, you become sick, and now you're missing 5 days of work, or you're missing a day every week because you have some chronic issue that's going on that's not being managed. And then also low morale, which doesn't help any workplace. So whether you're an entrepreneur or you work in a large company, when morale is low, it's a problem. So we definitely want to do whatever we can to avoid being in that position. So the top health concerns facing employees, and honestly the top health concerns facing Americans in general, are obesity, lack of exercise, which obviously is highly connected to the obesity, and then stress and mental health issues. So the big question is why? Why are these the top issues facing employees, facing Americans, and what can we do to address them. So I think one of the biggest reasons why is the mindset that many of us have. I think our thinking is limited sometimes, and we don't even realize it. So we just kind of have this perspective of how we see things, how we see our own lives, our capabilities, how we view the world, and it has an impact on our behaviors, on the habits we develop, and just kind of how we move through the world. So these are a few examples of some ways where your mindset might be limited. So you could say, I don't have the time to focus on losing weight. So I've heard that a lot of times. I've said it years ago because it does. It seems like this big, huge thing, and then now you have to commit to prepping all these meals and doing all this exercise and finding time to go to the gym, and your life is already so crazy, and you have work and the kids and you're barely sleeping, and how could you possibly find time to exercise? So I do understand how it becomes a mindset for many. So I'll talk a little bit about how to kind of shift that. Another limited thought could be that everyone that has a job is stressed out, so what's the big deal? So this is an example of us kind of normalizing the behavior and how we feel, where it's kind of like, yeah, I'm stressed. I feel stressed out when I wake up. I feel stressed out when I get to work. I feel stressed out when I leave at the end of the day. And we kind of normalize it, where it's like, well, that's the case. Everyone feels like that. So what's so special about me? Why do I need to kind of, go out of my way to change that? Another one is there just aren't healthy food options at work, and I don't have the time to prep meals. It's a reasonable thing to think, but it's also limited. It's kind of just this attitude that, it is what it is. This is what I've been handed with, so I'm just going to get whatever's convenient because doing something different is just not going to work with my lifestyle at the moment. And then finally, I really don't think anyone is sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. That's unrealistic. So hopefully our poll tells you that's not true, because it seems like 60% of you are sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. So some people are getting the rest that they need. So if you feel like that thought pops into your mind where it's kind of like everybody's life is crazy and they're busy and they're helping kids with homework or doing laundry or finishing up work projects at night and whatever, and people just aren't getting that much sleep, you kind of have to try to find a way to kind of shift that thought. So here are some examples that play off the statements that I just mentioned that'll kind of help you think about ways that you can begin to shift your mindset, because once you begin that shift, that's when you start the process of shifting your habits and developing healthier habits. So the first one, instead of thinking that losing weight or getting healthier is like this big, incredible mountain to climb, you can say, if I just set a small goal and take action, losing weight is doable. So sometimes we think like, oh, I need to lose 50 pounds. Goodness, 50 pounds. Like, how long is that going to take? How am I going to do this? I don't have time to work out for 60 minutes, 7 days a week. Like, what am I going to do? But the truth is, you don't really need to think about it as such a big goal. Set a small goal. I'm going to try to lose 4 pounds this month. So that means you're trying to cut out 3,500 calories from your diet every week. And that 3,500 calories could be a combination of you exercising a little bit more, nothing intense, and maybe cutting out something from your diet every day that you like, but you don't need it, and you kind of know you don't need it. So maybe it's that 350 calorie latte that you think you have to have, and you might need to dwindle it down to a lower calorie beverage every morning, but just that one change. You're not even changing everything about your diet. You're just cutting out this one thing that you kind of know is not the greatest habit to have, and you're adding on maybe some walking every day, and that can kind of bring you closer to reaching your goal. So if you're able to set much smaller goals for yourself and do it in a way where you don't feel like you're depriving yourself, you're not trying to go to protein and salad and give up everything that you love at one shot, you'll start to, and then once you see that you've lost a little weight, you'll start to realize and feel like, oh, this is doable. I can make this happen. Another one is I have to focus on my own stress and how it's impacting the quality of my life. So like I mentioned earlier, it's easy to think like, oh, everyone is stressed out. What's the big deal? It's life. When you work and you have a family and you're busy, you're stressed out. It just kind of comes with the territory. But you really do, I think this is how people develop high levels of stress and also develop some mental health issues like anxiety and depression. And I think some of it comes from comparison. So you kind of think like everybody's dealing with stress. I'm just going to push through and make it happen. But the truth is you're not everybody. So when you work with a group of people, you truly don't know the full extent of their story. And when I say that, I mean that you don't know how much support they're getting at home. You don't know how much their spouse does to help them out around the house. You don't know how much sleep this person's getting. You don't know what medication they might be on. You don't know if this person's going to therapy 2 times a week to help them manage the load at work. You really don't know what's going on. So to think that it's like this norm that everyone's experiencing and for you to not come up with your own ways to manage it is just not healthy because everyone manages stress differently. Everyone deals with crises differently. So you have to think about, what do I need right now? Do I need to maybe go to therapy once a week, or do I need to start yoga or meditation or something to kind of help me manage the stress in my life a little bit better, completely independent of what everyone else is doing, because you really don't need to worry or concern yourself with what everyone is doing. And then I can indulge on occasion, but I have to create healthier options for my own well-being. So this is kind of letting go of this notion that prepping meals is too hard. I'm just going to eat whatever's available at work, even if it's not great for me. And know that, okay, if I'm buying food for lunch at work every day, maybe I could cut that back. Instead of doing that 5 days a week, I'm going to start off doing it only 3 days a week. And 2 days, I'm going to bring something simple from home. And try to make your life as easy as possible. So no need to watch the Food Network and feel like you have to go all out and buy a bunch of containers and prep meals. You might get to a point where you're ready to do that. And if you do, then that's great because long run it saves money. But it could just mean making healthier choices when you go to the supermarket. It could mean buying the salad kits, which are already, everything's right in there, and you just open the packets, mix it up, and throw it in a bowl and bring it to work. It could be just buying a lot more fruits and things like that, so you don't have this impulse to go to the vending machine and you can snack on fruits and nuts and stuff throughout the day. But you don't have to, like I said, make every single day a different day because it can be overwhelming to change that much. But if you kind of make small changes over time, it feels a lot more doable, and it feels like you're taking control over your lifestyle instead of feeling like, oh, this is the option I've been given and that's it. And then finally, you have to tell yourself, if you are part of the 40% that's not sleeping enough, if I'm sleeping less than 6 hours a night, I probably need to implement some changes in my lifestyle or visit my doctor so I can start to change things. And I mentioned the part about visiting your doctor because sometimes when people don't sleep enough at night, it's not because they're necessarily up doing laundry or working on something or watching TV. It's because they genuinely have a sleeping disorder. So that could be anything from insomnia to sleep apnea that hasn't been diagnosed, which is pretty common. A lot of people have sleep apnea and actually don't know they have it. So if you find that you can't sleep, even though you really want to sleep and you set aside the time to sleep, then I do highly encourage you to see a physician and kind of try to see if you can get some answers about what's causing the sleep problem. If the lack of sleep is associated with other symptoms, your physician might recommend that you participate in a sleep study or something like that, but try to get to the bottom of it because it kind of snowballs into this problem, and next thing you know, it's like a year's passed and you've been sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night for an entire year, and it does start to take a significant toll on your health. So don't ignore any sleep issues that you might have. So I'm going to now offer you my simple strategies for living well. So I hope these are strategies that don't make you feel overwhelmed. I think there are things that you can start to implement immediately, like today, if you wanted to. I don't think they're complicated. I don't think they're expensive. I don't think they require you to go join some fancy gym and dump out everything in your kitchen and go to Whole Foods right away to restock. I don't think that they'll make you feel overwhelmed. So hopefully they will start to make you just think about small ways to modify your lifestyle, which will ultimately result in you being able to enhance your performance at work. So the first one is get physical. So I'm sorry if you hate exercise. Don't get mad at me yet. But I promise that I'll try to make this as easy as I can in terms of getting physical. So one of the poll question asks you guys, do you work out for at least 30 minutes 3 or more times a week? And 60% of you said yes. So I think that's great. Because it means you're doing something, whatever that workout is, to kind of get your body moving, get your heart pumping, maintain your health, or maybe you're working out because you're trying to reach a fitness goal that you have or something like that. But then that also means that there's 40% of us, 40% of you who are not necessarily getting physical. So you all may have different reasons for that. So we'll talk about things that you can do to maybe start to think about changing that in your life. So first, please check with your doctor. I'm not a physician. So I don't want anyone going out and like doing some intense workout and then contacting us and saying, well, that lady told me to work out 60 minutes, 7 days a week so I could reach my goal. I think that's dangerous. I think you really should be pretty clear on where your health is, on where your blood pressure is, just different aspects of your health. And I think you should just get some clearance from your doctor and just give them a heads up, and say, listen, I'm about to start a fitness program. Should I scale it back, or do you have any concerns? Just that. And once the doctor kind of gives you the thumbs up, then you should be all set to go. Start small. So if you're currently not working out, please don't embark on this massive, like, I'm going to get my Shape magazine out and try like all 50 of these workouts that I haven't done in like 10 years, and it's just a quick way to make you fail because you're going to get overwhelmed. It'll make you feel discouraged, and it can just be too much at once. So if you're not working out, I suggest starting small, like 15 minutes. 15 minutes matters. So if that means you have an hour lunch break at work and you go walk for 15 minutes of that hour and you spend the other 45 minutes eating, then that's a great start. And as you feel stronger and you start to feel better, you can increase that to 30 minutes and then maybe 45 minutes. And at some point, you will maybe start to add different activities so that you can move different muscles of your body. You might start to add resistance training. But simply starting off with walking or riding your bike, or maybe just staying out with the dog a little bit longer, or whatever it is, I say start small. Have fun. If you hate something, then I don't feel the need for you to kind of have to force yourself to do it. Years ago, I somehow convinced my husband to go to a spinning class with me. And at some point during the spinning class, I looked over at him, and he looked at me, and then he mouthed the word divorce. Because he was so uncomfortable and he just didn't like it. And so we always kind of joke about that. So clearly he does not go to spinning class with me. I still go because I like spinning, but he doesn't. So he finds other things to do that work for him and make him happy. But for me, spinning is fun. And that depends on who the instructor is, what kind of music they're playing. So don't force yourself. If you have a gym membership and there's a class you go to and you just hate the music and you dread the class, don't go. Like, find something else to go to. Find something that fits your personality, something that feels like fun. Fall starts at the end of this week. The temperatures are about to finally start going down. Find a group of girlfriends and go hiking. You might discover that you love hiking, or try some other activity. But I really encourage, take a dance class. But whatever you do, just kind of have fun with it. Because I think if you're miserable and moving, then it makes it a lot harder to kind of stick with it. Get it in where it fits in. And I say that because I think some people are like, oh, you got to work out in the morning. It's the best time to work out. And then some people say, don't work out at lunch because you get all sweaty and you got to go back to work. And then some people say you need to work out in the evening. And I say do what works for you. Obviously, morning workouts are great just because you get it done. So there's less of a chance that your day will interfere with your plans to work out. But morning workouts just don't work for some people. If you have to wake up at 5 a.m. just to get your kids ready and walk out and get out the door, working out at 4 a.m. may not be realistic. Well, I know for me, I used to work out in the morning, and there was a point where I would wake up like at 4:35 to work out, and my kids kept waking up every time I woke up, even though I was like tippy-toeing. I have a treadmill in my basement, so when I don't go to the gym, I use it. But even if I was tippy-toeing or being like super quiet, I don't know, they just kind of sensed it. I was up. So after about a week and a half of that, I realized that I needed to kind of modify things because it wasn't working out. I wasn't able to do what I needed to do. So at different times in your life, you might find that where or when it fits in changes. So just do what works for you. If walking during lunch is the only thing that works for you right now, then do it until you can find some other time to fit it in. If maybe you can only fit it in during 2 or 3 weekdays, but Saturdays and Sundays work best, then maybe that's a great way to do it. You only work out Tuesdays and Thursdays, but then you make sure that you work out Saturday and Sunday morning. But find something that works for your schedule and your lifestyle. An accountability buddy is great. That can be a spouse, a neighbor, a coworker, anyone really who also has a fitness goal, and you guys can hold each other accountable. I think that makes a big difference. It's always great to have a friend to go to a fitness class with or take a walk with, and I think it helps you stay a little bit more focused on reaching your goals. And I do like to focus on the importance of everyone having distinct personalities, right? So if you feel like working out is your quiet time, and you're zen, like you need to just be at peace and be alone, then please don't feel the need to find a buddy to work out with. I think everyone is different. So if that's not going to work for you, that's fine. But if you think that'll help you be successful and reach your goals, and you want to chat to someone or have a friend there with you, then by all means, I'm sure you can find someone who's able to kind of go on this journey with you. And then finally, get your family involved. So when the weather permits, go outside with your kids after you eat dinner and like have a 20-minute walk. Nothing crazy. Walk around the block a few times, or go outside in your yard and play with your dog, or do something. But get the family involved on weekends. Maybe go on a family hike, or go bike riding together, or just do any activity really that gets everyone moving. Or sometimes I'll tell busy moms after dinner, crank up some music and just like have like a 15-minute dance party with the kids. Like if you have really young kids who are too young to think that's corny, they'll love it. They'll have fun with you. They'll dance with you, and it gets you moving a little bit. They love it. So it's kind of like a win-win. It's quality time, and it's also time for you to get your heart pumping a little bit. And it can kind of just become like a family thing that you do all the time. So just think of creative ways to kind of, get family members involved, so that way you're killing two birds with one stone. Managing stress. So a few tips on managing stress. Consider meditation. If you hate the idea of meditating, it's okay. You don't have to. But there's a great app called Calm that I really love. And it kind of has a lot of different options, a lot of different meditation programs. There's a free version, there's a paid version. But I definitely suggest checking out Calm. And they have like a 5-minute meditation. So it doesn't make you feel like you have to, be like Deepak Chopra overnight. It just gives you like really simple ways to kind of start learning how to meditate. Breathing exercises are great. So sometimes you just need a breather. So that might mean closing your office door or going outside and literally practicing like breathing exercises for 5 minutes to just kind of help you relax and like calm yourself down a little bit. Self-care, I mentioned earlier, I think that's big. So think about what practices make you feel good, make you feel rejuvenated, help you feel relaxed, and find a way to make sure that they're a consistent part of your life. No matter what's going on in your life, that finding time for that is just as important as going to work. And then finally, the last two are try your best to ask for help and to also accept help. I know that that's really, really hard. I mentioned earlier my mom and her struggles with depression, and how hard it was for her to finally ask us to help her get help. So whether it's a mental health issue or it's a fitness issue or it's a weight loss goal or whatever it is, I know that asking people to help you can be difficult, but it does make all the difference in your ability to be successful, and it helps you keep stress to a minimum if you don't feel like you're doing it alone. I don't think we're designed to do this thing called life alone. I think we need help, we need support, we need a tribe of people who are on our side. So try your best to ask for help, or when help is offered by someone who cares, who maybe just has a gut feeling that you need some extra help, just say thanks and accept it, and that'll make things a little easier for you. Make a shift. So these are just some tips to help you shift your mindset, your own behavior, and maybe encourage shifts in your office culture depending on what that culture is like. So you can, at the office, ask for healthier options and vending machines. Believe it or not, there are healthy vending machine options, or maybe things that are healthier than some of the things that are typically in vending machines. So requesting that can help. Making sure that there's clean water available for people to drink throughout the day is really helpful, and it saves money. It's cheaper than drinking soda all day. Take advantage of corporate wellness programs. So my husband has a great corporate wellness program at his job, and we always get kind of stuff in the mail about it, about screenings that are available, or maybe fitness events they have where he can bring us as a family. So if you work for a place that has that available, definitely think about how you can take advantage of that. Develop a walking club. So if you have other people that want to reach a goal with you, like I said, maybe you can all get together and walk for half of your lunch hour every day and hold each other accountable. Pack your own lunch and beverages. When I used to work a 9 to 5, I would always kind of bring like a huge jug of water to work with me. So I would always have like something to drink with me. Limit caffeine. I love coffee, so I'm not telling you to give up caffeine, not at all. But I also don't think it's healthy to drink like 6 cups of coffee every single day. So you want to try to like maybe limit how much caffeine you're getting, or if you just like the taste of coffee, maybe mix caffeinated with decaf so you're not consuming as much caffeine. And particularly if you have problems sleeping, you want to avoid drinking too much caffeine later in the day. And then use technology to help with your goals. So I have a number of fitness apps on my phone. I think my favorites are MyFitnessPal and my Fitbit app. So if you have like a Fitbit or any other kind of fitness tracker, I think technology is awesome these days, and it's a great way to help you hold yourself accountable. Better choices. So you don't have to eat the birthday cake at work. Like, no one's going to get mad at you or hate you if you kind of say no thank you. Or if you want to enjoy the birthday celebration, offer to bring a fruit salad. So that way people can have fruit or cake or both. But I think sometimes there's this unnecessary pressure to kind of do what everyone else is doing, and I don't think there's a need. And then there's some more tips about making healthier food choices, like eating a light breakfast if you know that there's going to be a catered event at lunch, or avoiding like this pressure to kind of eat or drink what everyone else is doing, or this need to like kind of watch what other people are doing, and based on how they look or their size or whatever, you're thinking like, oh, I can do it too. And the truth is, someone can be like a lot thinner than you and have hypertension and you don't know it. Or someone can look like they're heavier or bigger than you and they're in a lot better health than you are. So I always say the safest bet is to not make assumptions about anyone else's health, and to just kind of focus on your own health and what you need to do to improve it. And then finally, I want you to take small steps. So I mentioned this throughout. 10 to 15 minutes a day of walking, or cut back on one habit. So that could mean if you're a heavy juice and soda drinker, try to see if you can just drink water, but maintain your other habits. Like, keep eating what you eat for the time being, but just cut like that one habit out and see what a difference it makes. Try meditation just for 5 minutes. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you'll hate it. That's okay. Maybe try waking up 15 minutes earlier. That might just be enough time to stretch and do a quick meditation, but just kind of shifting the way you start your day can help. Adding a little bit of extra sleep to your schedule can make a difference. Even people that are sleeping 7-8 hours a night, I don't think extra 30 minutes of sleep ever hurts anyone. And then take naps if you're able to during the weekend, or if you're able to take a quick 20-minute power nap at work. More than 20 minutes can kind of make you groggy, and it makes it harder for you to kind of snap out of the sleeping phase. And only do it if you have a work situation where you're able to do it. So if that means you go sit on a bench outside and set your phone alarm. But, you know, I always think of that old episode of Seinfeld where George is like under his desk, like sleeping at work. Like, you know, don't go crazy with it. But if you have a work environment where you're able to take a power nap, then by all means go for it. So I want to kind of start wrapping up. I want to tell you ways that you can kind of take advantage of educating yourself and health screenings. So if there are workplace workshops, if your job offers biometric screenings, which is pretty much like checking for things like your blood pressure and your blood sugar level and BMI and those type of things, then take advantage of that. If you're able to participate in any health and lifestyle coaching and you feel like a coach will help you, then do that. Bring healthier options to eat and drink at work, or ask if healthier options can be made available. And please, please focus on managing your stress and on being aware about your personal mental health. So ultimately, if you're able to kind of make some of these small shifts, it will enhance your work performance and improve the bottom line by allowing you to have better focus. It'll increase morale. For you at the workplace. It will significantly reduce healthcare costs. It'll help increase productivity, and it'll increase how satisfied you are with your job, and I think with your life overall, with your relationships, with just how you function every day. You'll feel happier and more satisfied. So I hope these tips all help. These are some helpful resources, some links to different websites that either have like options for fitness plans or information about what you should be eating every day, how to manage stress. And then number 2 and 3, Breakthrough and Talkspace, are actually options to get virtual therapy. So if you do feel like you need additional help in managing your stress or anxiety or anything else that you have going on, but trying to make it to an office for therapy is not doable, you can actually use these websites as a way to get a therapist to work with you from the comfort of your own home. So I hope you all found this information incredibly helpful. It was great speaking with you this morning, and I guess it's time for questions and answers.
Okay, wow, thanks, Martine. So we do have a question or two from the audience, and at this time I want to invite you to submit additional questions through the control panel on the webinar. So a reminder, you just click on that red arrow, it'll pop out the control panel, and you want to enter the question in the question text box. So, so I have a question here that was submitted. So what are some options for people that actually, I know you referenced it, that somebody might not like yoga or meditation. What are some other options you might recommend for those people?
Well, I think with yoga and meditation, the idea is, right, is that it's supposed to help you feel relaxed and stressed out. So I'll admit that my big secret is I don't like yoga. Like, yoga stresses me out for some reason. I don't know if I overwhelm myself with the movements involved or what it is, but I actually do like Pilates, right? So I think what you need to do is just remember what the goal is and just try to find an activity that brings you to that space. So if you hate yoga and you feel uncomfortable when you go to a yoga class, yoga just may not be for you, but you might find that spinning relaxes you, or Pilates relaxes you, or just walking by a lake or doing something like that. So I think the best thing is to not feel like you have to fit into some mold and just think about what's the goal. So the end goal is for me to feel more calm and relaxed and more centered. So just kind of keep trying until you find an activity that kind of leads you to that goal.
Okay, great, good advice. Now here's a question from me that I've been holding since the middle of the webinar. So when you were talking about going to your doctor, I kind of have this feeling that every time you go to the doctor, they just want to prescribe something to make you better. Oh, there's a, they get out their prescription pad. Well, now I guess they do it electronically, but, they're saying, oh, this will cure that. So I feel like as a society, we are probably being over-medicated, but that's just my suspicion. So I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that.
You know, I do think there's a lot of over-medicating going on. So that's why I try to help people focus on preserving your health, right? And taking preventative measures. Sometimes I have to take my mom to the doctor, and honestly, the doctors don't even know if her symptom is a symptom of something new or if it's a side effect of one of the 9 meds that she's on, right? So I think, getting to a point where you're over-medicated can become problematic. So I'm not against medication. I think sometimes you just need it, depending on what your health issue is. and there may be no other way to manage it, but I do think you should always explore your options. If you feel like your doctor didn't really answer all your questions and they were quick to prescribe a med, go get another opinion. And I think any doctor that's offended by that, you should be a little wary of, because I think as a doctor, your health should be their primary focus. So once they seem offended by you wanting a second opinion, I think now it's about their ego and not about your health anymore. So feel free to get a second or third opinion. And also remember that if you need to take a medication, for example, if you have hypertension and you've been prescribed a medication to help regulate your blood pressure, I'm by no means suggesting that you don't take that, but I also don't think that that should be a life sentence and you have to take hypertension meds for the rest of your life. So it could be that maybe you are taking the medication, but now you're going to start working on making some lifestyle changes so that a year from now, your doctor will say, you know what, you don't need this med anymore because your pressure is actually running too low with it, and you're doing really great managing your blood pressure through diet and exercise, so you can get off of it. So I think there's a time and a place for meds, but I think no one's going to advocate for your health like you do. So if you feel like you're being prescribed meds too easily or something's not sitting well with you, get a second opinion whenever you can.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's good advice. And so another question that was submitted, how do I manage if I can't invest in a gym membership and health coaching right now?
Well, earlier in the presentation I mentioned the use of technology, and I even mentioned like a few of my favorite apps. So I do think fortunately we live in a world where there are so many options to kind of help you focus on your fitness goals, help to hold you accountable, and also to help you get moving, that you can really develop like an exercise plan and kind of start to watch how much food you're consuming and all those things without that outside help if you're not able to afford it at the moment. So I don't think not having a gym membership is really a reason. I think a lot of it is mostly just a mental shift, and it's really a mindset thing. Sometimes I'll kind of use, like, I'm a huge Oprah fan, and sometimes I'll use her as an example, and I'll say, like, this woman has like all the money in the world, right? She can hire a personal trainer and chef, and she probably has like a gymnasium next door to her bedroom. Like, she has it all, and she still has struggled with her weight like a good part of her life. And I think that's proof to everyone that it really doesn't matter. It's not about spending a ton of money. It's about being able to get to a mental place where you're able to reach your goals. So don't feel discouraged if you don't have the money to invest in all of that stuff. You can find other ways to kind of reach your goals. And actually, there's an app I didn't mention. It's called Sworkit. It's like SWORKIT. And it has tons of exercises. You can pick how long you want to exercise. So you could do like 10 minutes up to 60 minutes. You can mix it up, cardio and resistance, and you don't need any equipment for anything that's on it. So you can just literally find a space in your home and do it. And I get a pretty good workout from it. So when I'm sick of my treadmill and I can't make it to the gym, I'll just kind of use that app. So I think that's also a really great tool to use if you don't have a gym membership.
Great, some good tips. So I think that takes care of all our questions for today. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. I thank you for joining us. Sorry. Okay, there we go. A little technical glitch there. Couldn't move the slide. So I thank you for joining us. And so Business Training and Services sponsors PowerBrews the third Tuesday of every month from 9 to 10 a.m. They're always free, and you're always invited to join us. Next month's PowerBrew is, I love this title, Can I Bring My Dog to Work? Using Total Rewards to Attract and Retain 5 Generations of Workers. And our presenter will be Julie Devlin. Some of you may know Julie. She's very active in Carroll County Society of Human Resource Management, and she works over at Target Community Services, and she'll be joining us for that interesting discussion about attracting the different generations into the workplace. So you also will want to know that our Power Brews are now available for viewing out on our website. So if you visit www.carrolltraining.com/PowerBrew, You can see any of our webinars for the past few months. We'll also be posting that one out there as well today. So if you have coworkers or friends and families that you feel could benefit from today's information, please share the web address with them and invite them to view the webinar. I think it's news worth spreading, a lot of good information today, and I want to thank Martine for being with us today. And at this time, we're going to log out just a little bit early. So thanks, everyone. Make it a great day. And remember Martine's words, start small. So make some small changes in your life beginning today and take advantage of being well at work. Thanks, everybody.